Hey everybody, it's Barbara. And on International Cat Day, I thought it would be nice for us to investigate those fabulous felines of the 1940s, also known as the three dolls that came from the International Fashion Doll Convention in Las Vegas, Nevada, a couple of months ago. And this is Glamour Puss. And this, let me tell you, is one very glamorous, very nicely done, lovely, lovely lady. Before we get back to her, I think it's important because so much of what makes this doll exquisite is the detailing. So I just very quickly want to again reintroduce the box and say that even though the box itself is cardboard, there is something very nice to it in that you have a very light stripe detailing on the box, and then the Art Deco flash spread. I guess you would call it like a light spread. And then you have the Art Deco Forties feline right there. And I think that all comes together very nicely to set the tone. It's the texturing, the design of the box, the fonts used, which are, by the way, mimicked, and probably gives you a much better sense of the detailing. Again, that flashbulb spiral pattern, the different fonts, but very much still keeping with the 1940s fonts. All of that kind of detailing, which goes right into the presentation of the doll herself. Literally from head to toe. She is wearing, and all the detailing represents that classic 40s design and the attention to detail. Let's start with the chapeau, if we will. Just going to move the camera and show you. There's a very nice leaf pattern here. Yes, it's plastic, but that probably, if this was authentic to the 1940s, it wouldn't have been plastic. It probably would have been a very strong felt. But you would have, again, had that leaf pattern, so you have that detailing. You also have hat pins that are going to match the shading of the hat itself. This is sort of a fascinator over her head. And since we're here, I'm actually going to do it from the left. Let me very quickly show you this very nice new pattern of dangle earring. But again, it's in keeping with the 1940s style. So you have this very nice new jewelry pattern in the earring, which is replicated in the pearls. Just so you can see that her eyelashes are real, they are applied, and they are black, as is the lining of her eyes. The eyeshadow itself is sort of where gold meets silver, with just the slightest streak of brown right above where the two lids, the upper and lower lids, will meet. And I can't tell if it's the shadow, pun intended. Let me lift these up a little. I was going to say that I thought she might be wearing brown eyeliner, but she's not. Her lips are a semi-gloss fuchsia pink that ties in nicely with her ensemble. And her ensemble, as you can see, is, again, very much in keeping with the 40s sensibilities. It's cut to look like it is a two-piece ensemble with a bolero jacket and a sleeveless bodice dress underneath. It's actually all one piece. There's no jacket that can come off. There is, however, this very interesting insert here of green and white striping that cuts in with the dark red, the burgundy, if you will, of her ensemble. I was talking to a few friends about that, and besides the fact that it will also explain why her shoes and purse are green, which we will get to in a second, you may have had this difference in texture, whereas this is this is velvet, this is satin. You would have had these combinations of fabric and style because in the 40s we were in the middle of a war, coming out of a depression. So people had to get creative with what they had in terms of fabric ration. And that went from the average woman who sewed for herself to the people who made the dresses that women would still oogle at in the department stores. So let's continue. I'm just going to lift this green up and stick out her leg. And I'm trying to be decent about this for YouTube's sake. Right here, where my finger is, oops, trying to be decent and I used the wrong finger. That is a garter strap, and the garter is going to go all the way up to her underwear, which I am not going to show because I don't want to get any YouTube violations, or Facebook, whatever. But she is wearing a proper garter set underneath the dress. So, again, period piece, totally authentic to the era. Let's take a look again. We're going to talk some more about detailing. Take a look at the shoe. Now, first of all, the shoe is period to the time. This is the kind of heel you would have. I'm hoping you can see this. There is the slightest brown detailing on her shoes, brown striping on her shoes. And again, I think that's to mimic the different materials that were used in making everything during the 1940s. So that's a very nice touch. You do not see, there is the striping, here's the purse, and you do have that striping, though not all the way through. You do have that striping on the purse, on the front detailing, but not the back. So you do have that striping again. So clearly this was originally made to be a set, the purse and the shoes. And the green does match the green of her detailing on her dress. If you're watching me do this, this purse does open rather wide. It is lined in baby blue or Tiffany blue. And there is a magnet here to keep things closed. The dress, so you would be inclined to think that maybe the dress itself is also lined in blue. It is not. It is red burgundy suiting lining, which is not a surprise for East 59th Street or Fashion Royalty that they would match that. And again, the detailing. Yes, you have a faux fur stole. Faux fur in 2019 because if they had real fur, half the fan base would kill you. Faux fur in the 1940s because, again, rationing. But this clipping, this detailing, if you can see it here at the top of the furs, at the top of where the little dangles on the furs join, that same detailing is in the earrings and the pearls. So you have, obviously, you would have, to some extent, a common detailing when you were putting together an ensemble. But these are all thoughts that somebody would really have to go back and look at to really think about when they're recreating an ensemble like this, large or small. for a vintage occasion. So Chris Dockel and the design team at Integrity Toys really went back and really made some very careful decisions based on the economic history of the U.S. in the 1940s and the style of the period. And I think that goes a long way to talk about that quality of the line. And I truly appreciate that as someone who grew up and was very much a part of the lives of several women who were in their 20s in the 1940s. And I had the privilege of seeing their vintage pieces. I recognize this detailing. I recognize the way the pearls look. I recognize the cut of the dress. All of this is in keeping very much with the era and the care that these women took in putting themselves together whenever they went out. A couple of more points to say about this very quickly. The dress itself is going to close with hook and eye in the back. As I mentioned, there are panties that match the dress. They have a garter slip, or a garter strap, I should say, that holds the stockings up. You also do have the second dialing hands, and yes, they would be dialing hands because this is the 1940s. People had dialing phones. And the nails, of course, will match the lip and presumably the toes as well. The one other thing to note is this. After the dolls were released and everybody came back, for about 12 hours, it looked like the 2019 IFDC was the last one, and that they were going out with these three dolls. Glamour Puss, which you have here, and the other two lovely ladies of the IFDC collection, which unfortunately I couldn't get my hands on. And that would have been a great way to go out, because again, you had exquisite packaging leading the way to an exquisite doll. But then the announcement was made that Integrity Toys was going to have a big hand in the 2020 convention for IFDC to give Jim Ferrone, who deserves this to the 10th power, a proper send-off. So the 2020 IFDC is going to be the last one. It will be the last International Fashion Doll Convention. It'll be the last one for Jim. And Integrity is going to send him off very well. For a penultimate bow, you know, if this is the bow and 2020 is the curtain call, this isn't a bad first bow. This isn't a bad bow as opposed to the encore, which is going to be next year. Really, I can't tell you how delighted I am by the detailing in this piece. This is a set that's going to stay with me for a very long time, as she will too, because she really does have a very beautiful face, which is sculpted with just enough care that it is not so period that you can't put her in a collection. This is a piece, at least the doll herself, can go between and can stand with your fashion royalty and fit in very nicely. And with that, I'm going to say that this is Barbara, and I will see you next time in my review of The Secret Garden Eugenia. Take care, everybody.